So we've got a lot of Tomb Raider news to talk about today. Some bad, not so good news. And then you've got some good news. You know, nothing groundbreaking, but a little bit of good news. But let's go ahead and start with the bad because, oh my goodness. So, Tomb Raider did drop their Kickstarter, which it did get backed really quickly. So there is a fan demand for it. I personally did not back it, and I have no intention on doing so. This is a board game. It doesn't look that great. It's already at $75,000 out of its $27,000 goal. So it is doing quite well because they just announced this. I will say it's doing quite well. But I personally have zero interest in it. Let's go ahead and look at this announcement or this video, and then we'll go from there.
A famous explorer once said, "Time can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy." For years, I've chased the legend of Kairos, an island said to appear once.
What I don't like about the voice. Now, first of all, this might not be any sort of voice for the next game or anything like that. It might just be, to me, it sounds different than what they used for the pinball crossover. But this just sounds similar to like Camilla Luddington's in the reboot games. And when I think of Lara Croft, and especially they don't have, oh, this is her origin story, she's younger now. They don't have that excuse anymore. I just picture a more refined, womanly, sultry voice, and this is not it.
Every 2 centuries.
So this is
They say it high
unification effort, which I am not about. I'd rather them just flat out continue reboot stuff and make their own lore than try to unify it, because it doesn't work together.
It's the Chronos artifact, a relic that can manipulate time itself. Now it's back, but I'm not the only one searching for it.
Now, obviously, this is just a board game. It's not an actual game. Now, when you're talking about story-wise and all this premise and all that, I will say one positive thing is we're not hearing, oh, my father. Oh, I must follow in the footsteps of my father. Oh, man, my father. Like, I'm sick of it. Those of us who have been Tomb Raider fans for a long time, we're sick and tired of the parental drama that Crystal Dynamics has shoehorned into Tomb Raider, because as we know in the classic lore, her father was not an archaeologist. Her parents, they disowned her for choosing a life of adventure and not marrying the Earl of Farrington in that arranged marriage. So this whole following father's footsteps thing, that is just some retcon. It's not actually Lara Croft's lore. So I will give them some points for saying, oh, let's actually center this around an adventure instead of that. But I digress.
This is no ordinary island. Navigating it won't be easy, especially with deadly traps around every corner. And fearsome beasts determined to stop me.
That's hideous. The figurine looks hideous to me. That's just also like, why is she so short? Why is she like 4'11"? Like, Lara Croft is supposed to be 5'9". So let that sink in.
If I'm going to survive, I'll need to be smart. Upgrading my gear.
So it's like, okay, just using pictures and stuff from the game, from the older games. And this is what's crazy, is like when you see pictures like this, so this is from Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then you're gonna see things from classic Tomb Raider, like there, it doesn't work. It doesn't match. It's not the same thing. It's not the same person. Stop trying to force this unification. They're not the same person.
Abilities and crafting new weapons just to stay one step ahead. I'll need to learn more about the island. I'll explore every mountain, every ruin, every tomb. Searching for a map to the crypt and the key to open it. The time isn't on my side. Natla Technologies are closing in. The longer I take, the closer they get to the artifact.
look how short her legs are. Why are her legs that short? Why is she this short? Oh my gosh, this just drives me insane. Look. And I said on the last video talking about that that pinball crossover. At least they made her legs a little longer, and that for some reason but they didn't with this. So I don't know why they are trying with every game that Crystal Dynamics continues. They keep making her legs shorter and shorter, and then now we've got Hobbit Lara. This is definitely the Call of Duty character model that they've just tweaked some and made it a little less egregious in some elements. But ultimately, it's just it looks like a girl in cosplay. This doesn't look like Lara Croft.
I cannot let it fall into their hands. I'm not just racing against time. I'm fighting to protect it. Hello again.
Oh, I'm tired, chat. I'm tired. Okay, so let's go ahead and dissect some of this. First of all, the board game just doesn't look good to me. It just looks like a messy hodgepodge. You can't unify these elements. You can't unify classic Tomb Raider with the reboot stuff. It's funny that I didn't see any Tomb Raider Legend or Anniversary Underworld. I didn't see any elements of that, which is funny. They seem to be very distant from the Legend Trilogy era, even though Crystal Dynamics made it. So you would think that you'd think they would at least be a little closer in line with that. But for some reason, they're not. But I think mainly being because it does counter a lot of the messaging that they try to push with the reboot stuff and onward, because in the Legend Trilogy, she was very, very model-esque, like supermodel. She was like cranked up in the supermodel build department, right? Okay, so now and they don't seem to like that, which, okay, whatever. If you don't want to go that far on that spectrum, you don't have to. You can, if you want to be more grounded, give us Angelina Jolie style. Give us this, because she has the same characteristics of Lara Croft. She has the same features of Lara Croft. You don't have to go changing them completely. Now, this is where I'm going to critique what we've seen here. This does appear to be the angle that they are wanting to go with the next game. Their unified thing. But this is the thing, is it's worse. It's worse. Like, it is just flat out worse. Well, I had enough complaints about the reboot and about how reboot Lara isn't Lara. Well, they took that. They were like, oh, okay, we hear what y'all are saying about reboot Lara. Now we're going to make her worse. So this is supposed to be some sort of unification effort, but there is no unification to be found. We already have, like, first of all, some of the distinct differences here. You have like the remastered version of Lara Croft, which is honestly perfect. But okay, if you wanted to go a little more realistic instead of this stylish, you can still do that again with Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie has these characteristics. The full lips, right? The very womanly features. This is not womanly at all. When you think Lara Croft, she is hyper feminine, very woman, right? That was her character, she was all woman. And for some reason, what you see with a lot of these companies that have gone more woke is that they don't like womanly women, right? And womanly doesn't mean slutty. You don't have to go with that slutty Chinese gotcha game, angle. You can just, like, she is womanly, right? But that's just not a thing anymore. Look, Angelina Jolie, very womanly, right? When you think, she's the epitome of womanly. But for some reason, they go away from that. So what you have here, I had enough complaints about the reboot, and y'all are making me defend it right now because it's better. So, okay, well, you already have, first of all, some of my complaints to you with the reboot version of Lara Croft is is they did change the color palette of the character. Lara Croft has warm undertones. She's more of an autumn palette. And then here you have a more cooler undertones. You know, fairer skin and cool tones to her as opposed to the warm, you know. And so then you have here, but even so, here you have what they took. It looks like they definitely did take some of Reboot Lara's features and translate it over in this model here, but it's just worse. They scrunched her face more, which is not characteristic of Lara Croft. Before people get upset and mad and all this stuff, I'm not saying she's ugly. It's not, she doesn't look like a man like we have been seeing with some of these woke like games, but she doesn't look like Lara Croft. And she doesn't look particularly womanly like classic Lara is supposed to look. So as you can see here, they took some of the features, but they just made it worse. At least with this, you've got some sort of definition in her face, and the face shape is, I will give them credit, is that it is similar apart from what they did with her forehead. I don't know why they cut off her forehead, but they at least had a very similar face shape. You know, small nose, relatively full lips here. And so what you've got here is a completely different face shape. They've added more fat to her face. Lara Croft she's supposed to have like this very defined, chiseled features with some very feminine, full lips, large eyes. They shrink her eyes here. They even shrunk her eyes from here. Shrunk the eyes. It's not it. Now let's look at the physiques, right? Because they even nerfed the physique. So you have in the reboot Lara Croft, the physique, is it classic? No. But it's not as bad as this. It's still, you know, she's still got a feminine frame here. It's just more, you know, it's just less hourglass. Here's the thing about classic Lara Croft, though, is she is tall and she's an hourglass shape. She's got long legs and her waist is like this wasp waist, and it's shorter. It's a shorter but cinched in waist with very long legs. So what they did with the reboot, okay, they lengthened her waist a little bit. They just gave her just kind of, but her legs were still, you know, not short. Well, then here you have this where and what is that stance? Her feet are going like this. She's standing like this. They are scared to death of a hip tilt. I don't know what it is with Crystal Dynamics and the new Lara Croft, but they are terrified of a hip tilt. And here she even has a hip tilt because, you know, that's how people stand. Your hips tilt. But they are terrified of a hip tilt, and they have been ever since Rise of the Tomb Raider. For some reason, they just make her stand like this now. Feet out like a duck. Arms out like this. Hunched over. What is up with how short her legs are? This is not... Oh my gosh. This is not it. Now look at this. Look at this crossover that they did with, what was it called, Naraka. This is more along the lines of what Lara Croft's supposed to look like. Look at those long legs. Okay. This is definitely more along the lines of Lara Croft's physique and what it's supposed to be, and her face. Look at that. Now, I get it. This is more stylized. If they wanted to go a little more realistic, they can adjust it. But at least have these fundamentals. But, like, come on. This is so dull. Like, who... Lara Croft to women is like Goku to men. Men look at Goku and they're just like, yeah, I want to be just like Goku for real. That's what Lara Croft's supposed to be. So when I see something like this, it's like, oof, yes, I want to be like her. Yeah, I want to play some games like that. She's all woman, right? She's very womanly. This is a woman, hear me roar, woman. But what is this? Not that. It's just not inspiring at all. It's like it's a girl in cosplay and an uninspiring one at that. Angelina Jolie, you got the blueprint. Why? Why would you just not? Okay, so this person does like the voice, which I don't know. I didn't really like the voice that much. Reminds him of LAU Lara. I don't see that exactly, but then she looks different in the close-up. Now, I will say she does look different in the close-up than she did in these. The ones where it was further away, she did look like here. She does look a bit better, but maybe that's because you don't get a good look. Well, she looks better there. That does not look... Well, I don't know. It does look like it might be the same face, actually. This does look better. The expression and all that, but is it still... It's still like... It's not inspiring. It's not this. So, yeah. Count me out. I'm bored. All right. Okay, let's go and move on. Because we did get a first glimpse of some early 3D prints of Weta Workshop's upcoming Tomb Raider 4 through 6 remastered statues. So as we can see here, this is going to be the Tomb Raider, the Last Revelation one. Then you've got Tomb Raider Chronicles, Lara Croft in her ballroom gown, and then you've got Angel Darkness here. This looks fantastic. I'm excited. I'm going to have to make some room because I will be buying all of these. This is what's up. This is very perfect so far, what we're seeing here. Love it. Now let's go ahead and talk about the Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld remasters, because a lot of people have been wanting to see those get remastered after Tomb Raider 1 through 6 just got their remaster treatment, but it's looking like that's not going to happen. They're not in the works, as the contract with Saber Interactive has expired, but the project is not off the table, as an insider reveals. So they could possibly use another developer, so on and so forth. I will say I personally don't want to see the Legend trilogy get remastered. I have no interest in it whatsoever. They were very, while the aesthetic was good, I like the aesthetic of it, of this trilogy. They were very watered down play school Tomb Raider games. They weren't actual true Tomb Raider experiences. And not only that, but I have a lot of critiques about, the headset and having Zip and Alistair on there being annoying, changing Lara Croft's backstory. But more than anything, the gameplay is just very play school Tomb Raider. It's not actually compelling puzzle exploration based. It's not a true Tomb Raider experience. So I'm perfectly fine without these getting remastered. I think any of the momentum that the 1 through 6 remasters had, the Legend trilogy would just detract from that. Now, here's the thing that people forget, okay, is you're just repeating the same thing. People forget that the Legend trilogy did not sell well when it first dropped. Now, Crystal Dynamics can show you updated numbers all they want, but I remember during the time that these games actually came out, and we do have some of the sales data for that from when we dig in the past, but they actually did not sell well. They did not meet expectations. They were barely on par with Tomb Raider Angel Darkness sales, which was what ultimately led them to handing the studio from Core Design to Crystal Dynamics in the first place, because it didn't meet expectations. So then you have the Legend trilogy, which more or less were along the same lines in sales, in the same range, and they were on a ton of different platforms. So, yeah. Crystal Dynamics has always struggled to have a true success in Tomb Raider in terms of sales. Because while even the reboots have, especially the 2013 game, had good sales numbers, the budgets were so astronomical that that trilogy just struggled to break even. So there's that. Now, Embracer did have Embracer did talk about their financials, and they did talk about the 4 through 6 remasters not selling as well as 1 through 3. But they do expect them to pull more sales over time, and they expect to generate good profits over time. That being said, I'm not surprised because, I mean, it's just history repeating itself. Did you really think that 4 through 6 was going to outsell 1 through 3? I doubt that they had that expectation. Surely they wouldn't. But we've already seen this play out. This is why what we need Embracer to hire Saber to continue the franchise in the classic vein with the classic fans, but give something new, right? And we don't need these monumental budgets. We don't need to try to hit super mainstream, because super mainstream gets Tomb Raider fatigue. They've had that happen in the past. They want something flashy and different. Go ahead and let Tomb Raider be for the fans. Let Tomb Raider be for its niche audience of people who enjoy exploration and puzzles and that type of gameplay. And let the focus be on that, and then have smaller budgets, because you don't need massive budgets. You don't need dramatic backstories. You don't need any of that. You just need an adventure for Lara Croft to go on. And some good gameplay with some good traps, some good puzzles, and some good exploration. And Lara Croft looking like a very feminine, womanly, beautiful lead. That's what you need. That is a recipe for a good Tomb Raider game, right? So if you want to have like all these bells and whistles of what the direction that modern AAA has been going with their hundreds of millions of dollars budgets, these don't work for Tomb Raider. You're going to run into the same problems that we did with the reboots and stuff. So yeah, we do need something new and different, but it needs to be along the lines of the classics. And so that's why we need Saber to hire the team of superfans to deliver that. Because if we just keep repeating history, okay, now that if they do the Legend Anniversary Underworld remasters, then you're just going to run into the same problems you did the first time. So it's time to go back to what works. Fix what they messed up with 4 through 6, because let's be real, 1 through 3, they are better games. That's why the 1 through 3 remasters also sold better than 4 through 6, because they are better games. You know, you've got 4, which has the best puzzles in the whole series, but look at where 4 falls short is that it all takes place in Egypt. So there's not enough like fresh locale. It doesn't feel as adventurous because it was all set in Egypt. And then you've got Chronicles, which definitely, when you go from the best exploration in the series, Tomb Raider 3, and then the best puzzles in the series, Tomb Raider 4, and then you got Tomb Raider Chronicles, which is just smaller and more linear and, you know, a lot less focus on the adventure and puzzles. Then yeah, that is a downgrade ultimately. And then you have Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, which took an entirely different direction. That didn't work. And I know that Angel of Darkness fans don't like to hear this, but it didn't work, guys. It didn't. Angel of Darkness is for a very niche of a niche fan base. They are for a niche of a Tomb Raider fan base, which Tomb Raider fan base is already niche. So then you've got a niche of a niche within it. Angel of Darkness is not going to have mass appeal, and it's not even going to have full appeal within the Tomb Raider niche, because it doesn't stick with what makes Tomb Raider, right? You go from an actual adventure to, oh, now Lara Croft is framed for murder, and you've got this much darker tone, and you've got like these more RPG elements, and you've got these more, you've got more modern gaming influence in there with the whole, okay, here's some optional dialogues, this, that, and the other. It's definitely more story focused and more dramatic of a story focus So that's not even true to the Tomb Raider vein of Lara Croft plays for sport. She's going on adventures because she enjoys it. Here, you're going to have these true adventures to go on with exploration and puzzles being the center point. So let's be for real. I've got a lot of love for Angel of Darkness. Lara Croft's character in Angel of Darkness was phenomenal. Her looks, her personality, everything. Definitely in line with classic Lara. Perfect. But, you know, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness failed for a reason. And so with the remasters, yes, it would have been ideal if they fixed more of the issues with it. But even if they did, I don't think that it would have been a massive success. I just don't. It's a niche game for the what do you call it? I don't know, my brain isn't working right now, but it's for those who are like, it's for a niche. It's for a niche of a niche, right? So anyway, there's my take on that. I think what Tomb Raider needs to do, let Saber hire the super fans to make new adventures, but in the classic vein. Have Lara Croft find the Fountain of Youth. Continue after Angel of Darkness. Don't continue the Angel of Darkness trilogy, though. Wrap it up. Like, even if you gotta drop, like, a comic book series to wrap up Angel of Darkness and then have Lara Croft back on adventures again, right? Do that. But take Lara from where she was then, and then, okay, she's mature, but she's not too old to still adventure anymore. So she's still physically capable. So while she's at this era in her life, let her find the Fountain of Youth and keep her frozen in that era. You can have a whole adventure of her finding the Fountain of Youth, and then you've set the stage for infinite games after that, and infinite adventures, because Lara Croft will stay frozen in that time. Essentially, her body will. It's like she's not going to age anymore. It's like she's not going to get too old and decrepit to raid anymore. Okay? She can go on infinite adventures and live her dream life, which is for adventures, not any personal drama, not any relationships, none of that. Lara Croft lives for the thrill of adventure, period. Not to be some hero, none of that. So anyway, that's what I would like to see. Will it happen? Probably not. What we're most likely going to see is we're going to see the unified game drop. We're probably going to see something similar along the lines of what we just saw with the board game, which is very milquetoast, boring, playing it safe. It's not going as extreme as they wanted to go with what we've seen in the Netflix animation, for example. And in the leaks with the whole lesbian Lara Croft and her retiring so she can go and live with her lesbian girlfriend. Like, they're probably not going to go that extreme like they originally were planning on. But we're just going to get a very boring Hobbit Lara Croft. We're just going to get a boring, like, that's it. And so then what's most likely going to happen is, because the budget and all of the resources that they poured into this next game that has been in development for eternity, it's going to be boring, it's going to be lackluster, it's not going to hit targets, and we're probably just going to see Tomb Raider, I don't know about completely die, but it's definitely going to be on hold for a while, most likely. It's because they don't know what to do with it. This has been the problem with Tomb Raider, is these developers don't know what to do with it once it gets to a certain point. And it's unfortunate. So stick with the niche, stick with people who like it. You don't have to have massive budgets. That would be ideal, but I digress. This is where we're at. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you want me to read the Bible to you, you can check out my Bible channel, Bible Time with Melanie Mack, here in just a couple days or so. Starting in June, I'm going to be back with daily content on the Bible channel. So I look forward to seeing y'all there. We're going to be doing daily devotionals and things of that nature. Thank you all again for hanging out with me. I will catch you next time. And in the meantime, go boom.